Okay. Ladies and
Good,
gentlemen,
we are done.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, our esteemed panelists and viewers, you're very most welcome to this yet another special edition of the AYLF Youth Dialogue Series. We gather here in the aftermath of the World Day Against Trafficking in Persons, which is celebrated every 30th of July, to shine a light on this vice, which you can call modern-day slavery, with a particular focus this time round on domestic servitude, forced labor, and exploitation of youth and children. This year's theme particularly is on leaving no child behind in the fight against trafficking in persons. But our theme for this dialogue specifically is addressing domestic servitude, forced labor, and exploitation against children and youth, because children and youth are the most vulnerable among us. And most times they're supposed to be cherished and protected, but they face unimaginable hardships in form of forced labor and domestic servitude and all other forms of trafficking in persons. So this is not just going to be a discussion, but a call to action to address the root causes of trafficking in persons, enforce stronger laws, support and protect victims and survivors, but also report suspicious crimes or any suspicious acts. So the first panelist I have today is Miss Blessing, whose surname I cannot pronounce. I hope she comes and helps me with that. And Miss Blessing is a youth code coordinator. So Miss Blessing, can you come and say hi to the viewers? Thank you.
Very well. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And my name is Blessing Ufuswapia. I am a Ghanaian, and then the coordinator of Youth Code.
Thank you so much.
Please, is there any specific thing?
Ufuswapia. Okay, I'll leave that for now. So, Miss Daisy, you're welcome to introduce yourself and say hi to our viewers. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Good evening once again. It's great to be here. My name is Daisy Mina Enchi. I'm a Ghanaian comms specialist. I'm an advocate for SDG4. I'm a voice artist, a media strategist. And I'm here to talk about one of the most important things that keeps me up in the night when it comes to children being exploited in all forms of, and the main head for this is trafficking. So I'm excited to share my experience, my expertise on today's talk post. Thank you very much. I hope we have fun and we learn as well.
Thank you so much, Miss Daisy. It's great to have you here tonight, and we hope to learn from you too. You're welcome, Miss Joanita, to introduce yourself and say hi to the viewers. Thank you.
Hello, viewers. My name is Dagire Joanita from Uganda. I am the founder, Mwagale Foundation. I am a survivor of trafficking and an activist right now. I advocate for migrant worker rights and survivor rights. I also sit in for Uganda at the Committee for the Global Migrant Workers Network. I'm an artist too. I had an artist somewhere. And I'm an artist, a filmmaker particularly. And in that, I'm a writer, director. So one of the things that Mwagale use for advocacy is art. And for now, we've been focusing on documentary making. So when you visit YouTube, you can look for Mwagale Foundation. We have some information there about human trafficking, especially voices from survivors and experts. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Joanita. It's lovely to have you tonight, and we can't wait to hear your story and get inspired. Mr. Ezekiel Doku, you're so very welcome to introduce yourself to our viewers.
All right, thank you so much. Just as you mentioned, my name is Ezekiel Doku, but as you can see on my profile, the name I always preferred normally outward is Nene Ulete. I'm actually a Ghanaian as well. I am a member of Curious Minds. I started as a volunteer, but now working for the Curious Minds Ghana Secretariat as a program support. And child trafficking and child labor has been my focus for the past 5 years. And so I am glad to be part of this meeting and look forward to a fruitful and a very insightful discussion. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ezekiel. It's lovely to have an expert like you. I know that we'll be able to learn from you. So before we go ahead, my name is Mary Joyce Takali, the Deputy Executive Secretary, African Young Leaders Foundation. We welcome you, our wonderful viewers who are always on YouTube waiting for us to learn from us. But today I encourage you to engage actively. You can comment, you can share, you can like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I want to start with you, Miss Blessing. Can you do the honors of explaining to us or putting into context with examples the key concepts in our theme today, which is human trafficking, domestic servitude, forced labor, and exploitation of children and youth? Thank you.
Very well, Mary. Thank you for the opportunity. So I have a little bit of a legal background. So I will speak based on authority. When I say authority, I mean what have the laws in place stated concerning human trafficking? How is it explained legally? And also, I will state examples as I have known in my community as a Ghanaian. So referring to my national law, I want to lay a foundation on the theme of, those that we are focusing on, that is the category of individuals, children and youth. So children, we understand to be those below the age of 18. Per the Constitution, a child is anyone below the age of 18. So once you are 18 and above, you are not considered as a child. And a youth, you are individual between the ages of 15 and that of 35. And this category also cuts across most nations in Africa in terms of definition. So I will also make a comparative analysis with that of Rwanda, for example, where a child is any individual below the age of 18, and a youth is also considered to be within this range. These individuals can be subjected to what is known as human trafficking. And human trafficking is an international crime per most countries. So it has received attention from the United Nations and, of course, attention in various countries. So if you look at what is deemed as human trafficking, we have a protocol known as the Protocol to Prevent, Suppress, and Punish Trafficking in Persons. And this protocol defines trafficking in persons as the recruitment, transportation, transfer, harboring, receipt of persons by means of threats or use of force or other forms of coercion, abduction, fraud, deception, of abuse of power. So a lot goes into how these individuals are being recruited, or the ability of other people to be able to get other individuals to do things that go against their will, and with the aim of gaining from their exploitation. So if you look at some forms of human trafficking, we have sexual exploitation, labor exploitation, drug trafficking, and all that. So individuals, a group of individuals, or it can even be an individual who, through deception, which can be in the form of employment agencies that are recruiting individuals into certain jobs through high pay and all that. Anything they will tell you for you to come along with them, they will tell you, maybe I work in Dubai, I am going to find a job for you to do there. They are going to be paid this amount, which is deceptive. they do this to get other individuals to come along with them. And if you are looking at children and youth, of course, if you are within the ages of 20, 25 and you are desperate for employment, you agree and come along. So that is how the little bit I understand when it comes to human trafficking. And then locally, that is in Ghana, we have the Human Trafficking Act also, which talks about, which gives a definition, and also we have an LI 2219, which also tells us what human trafficking is, and it is prohibited in Ghana, as one says, a person or an organized criminal group shall not recruit, transport, transfer, harbor, or receive a person for the purpose of exploitation by threat, by force or coercion, fraud, deception, abuse of power, in trading persons, taking advantage of the vulnerability of the person to further an act of trafficking in persons, or the giving or receiving of payments or benefits, or gifts to obtain the consent of a person, having control over the person intended to be trafficked. Then on domestic servitude, it is a form of human trafficking. That is one of human trafficking. And this one involves, so for example, through whatever means you use to get me in your home, you actually keep me in your home to do certain things for you against my will. So most of these things are against individuals' will, And then when you look at forced labor, it is also against the individual's will. And then looking at the Rwanda definition of forced labor, it says, forced labor as any work the worker performs against his or her will, and by force or under pressure or threat, that some punishment awaits him or her if he or she does not perform it. So there is the element of threats, that is the use of force to get the individual to do a particular work. And then on exploitation of children and youth, it is these are a group of people, especially children, those below the age of 18. These are people that are considered vulnerable. So if I need a cheap labor, I'll use a child because you don't really have a say as to how much I should pay you, how many hours you are supposed to work for me. And if you are under my control, I will use whatever means it takes to get you to act. So that is a form of exploitation. And it is not just limited to the instance of involving children in fishing, which is seen as a very dangerous act, involving children in illegal mining, which is also seen as a very dangerous act. It can also be that of sexual exploitation, especially with our use of online nowadays, of the internet nowadays. Is there any other thing you'd like me to address on this? I'll be happy to. Hello, please. I think Joanna can't hear me.
I can hear you.
Okay. I want Joanna to. I want to be sure that Joanna can hear me. Sorry, I want to be sure that Mary can hear me. I'm not sure she can hear me.
Yeah, I think she has gone off, but she's coming back.
Sure. All right, so as we wait for it, then probably I'll continue to state that some of the things that children are forced to do in Ghana, as I have observed, is that of street begging. In our community, you will see children on the streets begging on behalf of their mothers because their mother can't come forward to beg because you are an adult, you are deemed as someone capable of working because you are not suffering from any form of disability. So you are someone who can work and money, but they use these children to beg for alms just to support themselves. And it is a form of forced labor because the child is someone who is supposed to be in school. She must obtain some level of education as part of his or her developmental process, but they are rather engaged in these streetism or the act of begging. Again, we have children from the north in Ghana who are engaged in forced labor. They travel all the way from the north to the city, Accra, to work as porter, and they carry very heavy items. I have been a witness of such an instance at Medina Market, where a young child, I can't really tell her age, probably about 10, 12, carrying heavy load. It had rained that day, and so the place was very muddy. The marketplace was very muddy. She slipped, and the things she was carrying fell off, and you could tell that she had injured herself, so she couldn't get up after the fall. This is an instance of child labor and the kind of dangers associated with it in our community as Ghanaians.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Blessing, for that elaborate explanation of our theme. I want us to go ahead to Miss Joanita. Miss Joanita, confirm if you can hear me, because I have network issues. Oh, she left. Well, is Mr. Ezekiel around? Okay, it is well. Let me come to you, Miss Daisy. Confirm if you can hear me.
Yes, I can.
Thank you so much. So please, can you please explain to us how domestic servitude impacts the lives of and development of children and youth in Africa generally?
All right. Thank you very much, Mary, for your question. So for me, I'm looking at this from all sort of angle, and being an advocate for SDG4, it's my heart's belief to know that this is one of the main reasons why these children can achieve their dreams. Like the lady was saying, they become head porters, they become laborers, slaves, some are put into prostitutions, all sorts of legal words that does not even fit, does not fit for a child, especially the age range at which these people take these children. It would surprise you to know that they have certain age range that they take these children from. And when they go out scouting for these children, to traffic them into all these dubious activities, they can tell you, oh, this one is too old. Oh, this one is too feasible. Oh, this one can do the work. It just takes us back to colonial times when slaves are being auctioned. And this thing brings stagnant growth because the child has been moved from their natural environment and habitat with their family, their parents. They're not being fed properly. It also has them emotionally and psychologically. They now has to bond with new people. They now have to make new families, and they somehow had to forget the family that they know or the family that they grew up knowing, because one child said, Auntie, I think by now my family is dead because I haven't seen them in a long while. And this is a 13-year child who was trafficked at the age of 6. In her mind, there's no hope of ever reuniting with the family. And in most cases, it's true, because some of the kids we have come to meet up, and we realize that it's an offense over here in Ghana. So when you're caught, you'll be dealt with, like the law will deal with you. So even when you rescue them and you ask the parents to show up, because you're afraid of being arrested, they don't come forth. And these children end up going through the system, being put up in orphanage homes. And we all know that a lot happen in there as well, both psychologically and mentally, and even in their daily lives as children who are growing up. Child trafficking does not only expose these children to things inappropriate for their age, It also exposes them to diseases, incurable diseases, let me say, because some of them are even getting HIV/AIDS, those who are put into prostitutions. Some are having there's this word, it start with an F. It's an English word where you can pee without controlling yourself. Exactly, that's the word. And because at that age when they're having, excuse my language, that huge thing penetrating them, they weren't ready for it. So they have fistula and they can't even control that. And that becomes a health condition on them for life. As I mentioned earlier, also, the education system cuts off. I even when you try to put them in trade, sometimes we come across them at, like at the headquarters, you want to put them in trade, they've already been exposed to the world of money for their age. Some of these children, when we rescue them, they don't even want to go back because why would I go back when I'm making money? And so at that point, you know, for such a child, when it comes to education, their mind is off education. They're not willing to sit in the classroom when they can actually be making money in the field. And of course, we have those who are also been put in the same situation, but not on their will. Parents are selling, I was telling Kofi the other day, parents are selling children for as low as 20 cedis in some part of Ghana. 20 cedis because of one reason, poverty. But then how did we get here? How can we get out of this? What's the way forward? I mean, nobody, we're all trying to survive, but the reason we're so poor to the extent that we are selling our kids. Abeko IDA Primary School, 2 hours from Wenchi, one of the region, 1.5 region in Ghana. It's a cashew farm community, and they do animal farming as well. I was there to reach out to some children, and almost the whole school from primary 1 to 6 have about 6 children because the rest are in the cashew farms farming. So sometimes we, the children, and we, the parents, also sort of like exploit our own children. And it comes back to hurt them psychologically because, I mean, you're my mother. Why are you making me work when my other friends are going to school? Child trafficking should be dealt with. It deals with the children in every way that can hurt them, psychologically, mentally, physically. It gives them stunt growth. It kind of like kills your dreams actually. When we are kids, we say, what would you want to be? I want to be a pilot. But immediately you put into that system, that dream of being a pilot dies off. Either you die in there, or you become mentally unstable, or you actually get an incurable disease that you have to stay with for life. So that's my humble suggestion.
This is it's so sentimental for me. It's so heartbreaking to hear the real impact of human trafficking on the lives of children and youth, especially in the Ghanaian perspective. So, Miss Daisy, I'm still with you. At the community level, what are the strategies that have been proven effective in raising awareness about domestic servitude and preventing human trafficking?
Right. So for my nonprofit, we started with the girl child because I am I'm very heavy on equity in education. First we used to talk about equality, but then I am fighting for, I always do more than what I want Oliver twins. I always want more. I am actually fighting for equity. And so I started with girl child education because the girls' place, in most part of rural Ghana, they feel the girls' place is in the kitchen. And that is how it starts domestically. So we now have to cost parents. I had to use myself as an example. I'm like, as I'm standing here talking to you, are you not happy? Isn't it nice that a girl is standing here talking to you? That's a girl is said, oh, it's nice. So I asked, if it's nice, why is your girl child not in school? If you like what you're seeing, why is your girl child not in school? You wish I'm your daughter. So why are you not giving your girl child that opportunity to also be like me or be better, be more than me? And so far, this has been one of the journeys that have been slow for me. Change is difficult. And it's difficult for these parents, I mean, some of them actually, to come out of their shells and say, okay, I am accepting for my girl child to leave that system. So we had to start with the girl child first, and then we added the boy child as well. Boy children are also being used as cattle heads. They take the cattle into the lands to graze. They're also farming and their communities. They are being used as laborers. When you go to the Volta region, they are literally diving into the sea to unhook fishing nets And these are children as young as 6 years old without any protective measure. They are diving into the Voto Lake for fishermen's net that has been hooked. They have to unhook it and bring it back on board into the canoe. And sometimes when we even rescue them and we take them back home, we try to rescue them and put them in school. But of course, we have to find the family and then locate the family. Like I already mentioned, they're always afraid to come forward. I have been hooted at. My team has had water poured on them. We've been chased out of a community because of this topic we are talking about. And this is the tradition here. You can't tell. And the funny thing, they feel like they own the kids, like because they gave back to them, so they feel like they have total control. So one of the examples I use for them is, you know what? Have you ever seen somebody going to rape a child? When you go to the law court, we don't say your child. We say the government of Ghana versus the rapist. It should tell you that your child is a property of the government. It should tell you that your child is for the whole country. Yes, you conceived. It was your man, your husband, and you that brought forth the child. But then the child is not just for you. Because one of the things they always throw at me is my child. I can do whatever I want. It takes a lot of sensitization, which we haven't gotten there yet. Because even me, with my 9 years experience in advocacy, I am still not there yet. It's still heavy on us. And it's still difficult. We try to involve government, but when it's election time or whatever event it is politically, these people also go back to these young children to use them. Some even become taxed as young as they are. For what? It will surprise you for a bottle of oil and a small bag of rice. So such a child enjoys the services, they go back to it, and they will ask, oh, uncle, I like what I did the other day. Can't you take me on for full-time service? And then it becomes a thing. We have tried to reach out to the chieftains. I don't usually deal with the government. I deal with the chieftaincy because I go to the rurals and the slum, and these people have community and traditional leaders. So I deal with them. I go with them. I go to them with my team. It's nice. The conversation is nice. You're smiling until you hit on this topic. That is when you'll be asked to stand up and leave. You'll be thrown out because it's something that they're not used to hearing. You can't come and tell them what to do with your child. And when you try to involve the police, it's like it's a community on its own. They will tell you, oh, this one is traditional stuff. We can't get involved. So we're still trying to make our voice louder. And so far, I'm in some contact with some commanders, and we're trying to arrest such people, such parents we don't really arrest them. We kind of like scare them so they don't give out their kids and put them in such situation. They never see their kids again. Most of them, I can confidently say about 80% of these parents never see their kids again. So we use that, we stand on that to say, listen, you're giving the child, we're never going to see them. You say the child is yours. What happened to all the labor pain you went through? And that you're giving this child for how much? For 20 cedis, for 50 cedis. A moment in time that will probably pass away. Tomorrow, maybe you'll not be in this poverty position. If you're able to push that girl child, that boy child in school, they will come back and be a blessing to you and the family. They will take you out of that misery that you're complaining of. But when you sell them off into things you don't know yourself, you truncate their destiny. And by bits, I can say by bits, we are getting there. We are getting there, but we are not also getting there. This is a tough journey. It's not going to be easy. We are getting there. It takes about lots of visits to a community for the chieftaincy to actually agree, for you to do house-to-house talk to the communities, or for the chieftain to arrange for a deba for you to speak to the community on this topic. It takes a lot. It's not easy, but we'll get there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Daisy. I'm getting chills over here. It is so sad to see that it is the parents or the people that these children know that subject them to this crime or this modern day slavery. We hope that collaboratively we shall be able to help these children or creating awareness, they will be free one child at a time. So I want to come to you, Mr. Ezekiel. Mr. Ezekiel, can you outline the main goals and objectives of your human trafficking project, and what are the intervention strategies that your project employs to rescue and support victims of trafficking in persons? Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mary. And I think I'll take it off from where Daisy actually ended. So at Curious Minds, we have been in advocacy and in the media for 28 years now. And personally, I've been an advocate for close to 16 years. And so when it comes to issues of young people and children, in fact, it is one of the things that I don't actually joke with at all. So to the main issue, strategies that we are using. So currently in our camp as Curious Minds, we are so privileged to have this partnership from Tetra Tech. Tetra Tech actually solicited a contract from USAID that is actually looking at sanitizing our fishing communities and also bringing back the good old days as far as fishing is concerned. And so as part of this project, Curious Minds is actually on board to make sure that young people and children that are found within the coastal lines of Ghana, all the way from Hafasnin, that is where we share border with Cote d'Ivoire, and all the way to the Togo borderline at Keta or Aflao, if I should say. And so what we are doing as Curious Minds is to make sure that we create awareness and to sensitize community members in these communities to make sure that issues bordering around child trafficking. And one thing that I say is, wherever you see child trafficking, there is child labor, because most of these young people are recruited from various communities. And at the end of the day, they are either indulged into labor. And from where Blessing came with the law and the definition of the UN stating that any form of transportation or mode of adoption that a young person is taken through, irrespective of their family background, in a way, is child trafficking. And so in Curious Minds, what we have decided to do, aside what Daisy and his team are doing, is that we have realized that there is a cultural background and there is an hindrance from cultural perspective, because as Ghanaians, people have known that they have been part of the family system whereby a child is supposed to help their parent. And so in that instance, they see it that when a child is being given out to a fellow sibling, a family member, to support, they don't see anything wrong at all with it. And so you see children being migrated from one fishing community to the other, all in the name of assisting their parents. And so in Curious Minds, we realized that if we want to go on the same tangent, trying to address the issue from the community perspective, meeting community leaders and stakeholders, stakeholders here, I mean government, and all other state agencies that are working to fight this menace. It will be a cliche, or may end up ending like all other projects. So one of the strategies we employed was to engage the young people themselves in the community. And so we started by selecting 10 young people from each of these communities, and we brought them together under one umbrella to train them and let them understand what human trafficking is and what child labor is. Because when they are trafficked, it is child labor they are indulged in, being it exploitative labor, sexually, it could be into labor, as in the workforce, and all forms of labor that we know and that the laws have specified, which seems to be the problem as far as young people are concerned. And so bringing them under this umbrella, we made them understand that young people as they are not supposed to engage in child labor, and they have rights that they are supposed to enjoy as young people. And so in as much as we can't say they shouldn't help their parents, the fact that there is a poverty gap where parents are unable to take care of their own kids, for that matter, they give them out to their family relations in order to be able to cater to for these families or for these young ones. There is an age bracket that by law one is required to be indulged in such activities. And so after giving these young people the training, what we did was to create what we call the Rights of the Child's Club within selected communities that we are working with. And so when you come to the Greater Accra region, we are currently working in Ada, we are working in Choko, and then we are working in Tema Newtown, because Tema Newtown happens to be the main harbor when it comes to fishing business. That is the biggest harbor you can ever find in Ghana. And Choko, in terms of child trafficking and in terms of young people and children being indulged in fishing, are found more in the Choko communities. And so these young people came back to their communities, and what they are doing is to try to educate and sensitize other young people within the community. And so they have days where they meet these young people and then discuss issues around trafficking and child labor. Now, one thing that we found interesting is that whilst these exercises were going on, we didn't just leave it for the young people, but we were also engaging the parents. We were engaging the community leaders, which are as a result of that, we have created what we call the district-wide anti-child labor and trafficking network. So in this trafficking network, we have the Ghana Police Service, we have the SHRAJ over there, we have Ghana Education Service, we have Ghana Health Service over there, we have Social Welfare Department of Ghana, they are also there, and we have representatives of chiefs and elders in there. We have the assemblyman who happens to be the spokesperson of the government at the local level. And so an assembly member is part of this committee. And so one thing we realize is that there is always an effort, but the effort seems to be individualism. So we are all working in silos. Everybody is trying to do his or her part as far as the issues are concerned. But there is no integration and unity in all that we are doing. And so we have created this platform to be able to assist these young ones. And so now they have become ambassadors in their communities, as and when they come across issues of child trafficking, human trafficking, and even child labor within their community setting, we have created the link between them and this network that we have created. And so MCEs in these communities are aware, the chiefs within the communities are aware, and what they do is they liaise with them and give them information. And so it might be early days yet, but let me say this. After we created the network, we realized that it was so effective. And there was a gentleman from the social welfare department who happens to be a social welfare officer on the ground within the Tema metropolis. And so I was there, and then he just called me one day and was like, we have come across some young people. They have been trafficked from Nigeria and they are brought here. They are into sex exploitation. We found them at this particular spot. What do you think we can do? Immediately, the network that we have created in place, because we have the commander-in-chief of the police service within that particular metropolis on the network, there was a collaboration with him. He gave out some men, some officers, and then they went into the ground to be able to rescue these young ones. And so that is the strategy and the approach that we are using. That is one. Now, what we have also done is that we have realized sensitization is key. And if you dwell so much on the community leadership, most of them would say because of the exposure of a lot of civil society organizations within their community and non-governmental organizations, anytime community members see a project or an activity happening within their community setting, all they are interested in is the money, what they will get. And so these young people, we have created topics around child trafficking and child labor, which they go on radio every week in their communities. They do the hosting themselves. We assist them with the preparation of their synopsis, and then we guide them to actually go on air on radios. So we use local-based radio stations, and within the coastal communities in Greater Accra, they are Gans, and so they speak the Gan language. And so we have this arrangement with a local radio station called Obonu FM. And what happens is that these young people, as part of the training that they have received, have a segment where they share their experiences. And some of them are survivors of human trafficking. Some of them are survivors of child labor. And they can tell you how it has affected their education and it has affected their development. You can see it around them when you see them. And so they go on air to sensitize the community. And I remember when we started the initiative, when we started the project, we met a group of chiefs and they were like, we have heard so much and we have seen so many things being done in this community. At the end of the day, we don't see the outcome. But I am glad to say that some of these chiefs come back to us and they are proud of how their young people, what they have grown to become and what they are doing and the lives that they are changing in the community. And so for us as Curious Minds, our belief system is that give the young person the opportunity, educate him, let him understand what he can do within his capacity, and let him go out there to speak his or her mind. And so that has been the strategy that we have adopted to make sure that we are able to curb this menace. I remember during the launch of the World Day Against Child Labor, I was at the colloquium and I met a series of stakeholders over there. And I told them that we seem to have been working around the subjects, human trafficking, for so long. as far as Ghana is concerned, a lot of effort has been employed to make sure that we kept the menace. But the issue is that what at all are we doing? We are not seeing impact on the ground. And it looks like most organizations are just interested in the funds that they will receive, come, try and have a very nice report, finish, and go and sit down. There is no proper evaluation of what is really happening on the ground. And to make sure that after you have implemented a project, there is a proper assessment to make sure that we are really making headway as far as this project is concerned. And so the strategy we are using, we hope, with the help of the community members, over time, we will be able to change the perceptions that community people have. Now, one thing I've realized is that this has been the way we have done our things over the years. And so to change the behavioral pattern will take some time. And so we are approaching the conversation from a perspective where community leaders and community people would actually come to an agreement or an understanding from where we are coming from. And so the issue is, today you think your child is the best person to help you. But our analogy is that when this child is given the necessary exposure as far as education is concerned, now, even if it is fishing you want the child to approach, he might approach it in a manner where it will be more lucrative and more beneficial to you, the family, or to you, that parent who is giving out that child at a very tender age, which at the end of the day might end up coming back to you as a sick person, somebody who has been dislocated or has been disabled one way or the other, which will become a burden on you as the parent. And then the cycle of poverty continues in the community. And so this initiative has been fruitful, and we are looking forward that implementing them in various communities, we may be able to reduce child trafficking, if not to the barest minimum, to a level where we can say that at least young people are now aware of the dangers. They are aware of the challenges that it comes with. We will get to a place where parents would understand that we are not saying that their children shouldn't help them. They can assist them, they can help them, they can be part of what they are doing. But yes, still, it is always good for these young people to be part of them and to be developed in a manner where they are not deprived of their education, they are not deprived of their physical well-being, neither are they deprived of their psychological well-being, in order to grow to become better citizens in the community. And so bit by bit, we are making headway as far as the strategies that we have deployed are concerned. I think I would end it here for someone else to continue. Maybe when we move further, we would add
Thank you so much,
other
Mr.
things.
Ezekiel. This is very informative. I even failed to cut you short because I was still learning and enjoying your conversation. Thank you so much. The work that you do in your community is very commendable. And I believe that everyone who is listening or viewing us can be able to pick a thing or two from your discussion, because we cannot and we don't have to work in isolation as far as ending human trafficking is concerned. Thank you so much. I'll come back to you after some time. So Ms. Joanta, thank you so much for coming back. Allow me to welcome you, and you give us your personal journey or your personal story, because we know that you're a survivor of human trafficking. You can briefly tell us about your story and the reason as to why you started, you became an activist in ending human trafficking. Thank you so much.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I don't have the best network, but we soldier on. Like I said, it's Nagiro Joanita. I'm a Ugandan, a survivor of human trafficking, founder director at Mwagali Foundation. I'm really happy to be here, and I'm happy to be part of my journey of activism actually started when I was still in Oman, where I was trafficked to. You know, sometimes when I tell people that I was trafficked to Oman, they say, "No, you went to work." And from there, from my own experience, I normally tell fellow activists that one of the challenges we have is that the trafficked don't know that they are trafficked. And at the end of the day, it makes it a little hard to help them get them away from these particular traffickers, because in most cases, they parade themselves as good people who are helping the victim to get a better life. While in Oman, where I was trafficked, that was 2016, I passed through Kenya, through the Busia border, and then through Kenya. In Uganda, I know some of the people who have passed through Kenya. Ugandans know that it is not easy. I don't know about other people, but for me, I was, you know, given a border guy who I crossed with, and he's the one who took me to another lady in Busia, across the border. She was called Bushira, and she was the one who booked for me a bus to Nairobi. It is a very long story on how I got recruited. Personally, I wanted to help someone out. Part of my story is on our Mwagali Foundation YouTube channel, so I will cut the story short. Reaching Oman, one of the things that I remember was the place we were taken, the office. It was a housemaid, and that's where we were kept for some time before I was taken to a place I was working. I worked for a year, but at 7 months, my life started deteriorating because I think the work was too much for me. So my life started deteriorating, and you know, when you're working as a domestic worker, it is not really common for you to get medication. So I stayed sick for some time until when things got worse. I one day had to, you know, I passed out for over 7 hours, and that was the wake-up call for me. I had a group of girls together. We had started, you know, comforting each other. And when I got sick, I talked to some of my friends, and we started helping each other. Because for me, from that long faint, when I talked to different people, but then when things got worse, I had to open up to some few people. And meanwhile, you don't want to tell your relatives because you don't want to scare them. So you have your friends that you tell about what's happening. And when I talked to some friends of mine, they talked to some doctors, and you know, the news were not very good. And I thought I was going to lose my life. So I decided with my friend, we decided to start, fighting for each other. But most of them in the group didn't know, except one who knew what I was going through. And we started, rescuing each other. And she kept on telling me, Joanne, you need to go back home. And I kept on telling her, we need to help others who still have a chance to live. Now that I don't have so many chances to live, I can bear to lose my life from here and to have others go home. And we did that for some time until when it was too bad and I requested to go back home, and I was told I have to first finish my 2 years. That was 1 year after. Actually, it was 1 month to finish a year. But I count a year because almost it was done. It was just a week or to complete a full year. Then my friend and I had to sit, and I told her, these people have refused. So one of them actually is the one who helped me out, but she wasn't living there. So because she saw the situation, she had to help me convince them to let me go because I was really sick. The truth is, I was sick. I was looking bad. I was, you could see that surely this person is no longer useful to you or to anyone that was, responsible for me by that time. Because when we go to those countries, the truth is we are sold. We are sold to these people. We are put out in markets. For me, I was in a modern market. Physical, like practically to markets to be, to be picked from open markets. So for us, we were put in a modern market where people could, you sit just close to the glass so that someone can see you and pick if they want to work with you. To cut the story short, we organized with my friend and I managed to pay for my ticket to come back because, their relative told them it is better to let a live person go than a dead body. I really wouldn't want us to get stuck with her body because the way she is, anything can happen from now. So when I came back home, I was sick, but I was still in touch with my fellow girls, and we continued to help each other because I was on ground. I could at least move here and there to get people to help the girls come back. And I broke down when I was, I suspected signs of cancer in me, and I cut myself off from everyone. I went into a very bad depression. But there are some things that, come to your life and you be like, I don't know if I will ever get out of this. I used not to sleep. And whenever I could go for chest hurting thing that I ever experienced, everyone was telling me we can't see anything. So one day I was watching this movie at night, very late in the night, because I could spend all my nights awake. And this film was about cancer, and this particular girl had all the signs that I had practically during that time. Everything, every sign that was portrayed in that film, I had it. And then I started telling myself, I think I have cancer. And that went into my head, dug deep, and it got stuck. And it took me into a depression. Several times I even tried suicide. My family didn't know. I tried suicide several times, but it didn't work because I was tired. I was tired of the pain. But God is good. You know, during that time when I felt like I wanted to die, I decided to speak out, to speak up and tell people really what happens when we go out there to work, to tell them about the truth on labor externalization, especially for domestic workers, because it is filled with a lot of exploitation. Many people are not paid. Many people were killed. Our friends, many people almost got killed. Many of our friends were raped. Many of our friends were raped, got pregnant, and forced to abort. A lot of things happened. A lot of things happened, and I really wanted to speak up before I die, because by that time I what was in my mind was that I am dying anytime, and I know I don't have a lot of time, but I can use the time I have. I looked for a friend of mine who was doing a campaign on end child trafficking, and I told him I have a story I want to share. I opened up to him, and he welcomed me, and I told him I want to go with you to schools where you go. I want to talk to students because they are a very big target. And that's how I started speaking out. I went to different schools at different times, told them my story and told them the truth. And from there, I continued to get connected to other organizations who also had, outreaches. We went to communities. I started talking to journalists also to publish the story. But for me, my target was for the world to know the truth about labor externalization for domestic workers. What was hurting me most was the part where we were sold, exchanged for money. And, we were held captive, like literally we were slaves. And what is being practiced right now is this modern kind of slavery where you allow yourself to be enslaved because this person will come to you, talking to you, telling you the good things you are going to get out of the the work they say they are getting for you. So yeah, that's how I continued. And in it was the first day, I think, of 2022 or 2021, one of those 2 years. By then I was already connected to Miss Agnes Igoye, who has been very active in the fight against trafficking. She told me, Joan, I would like to challenge you to start up something where survivors can benefit directly. So over the years, I had, connected with some of my friends and other survivors who would reach out And we, during that time, there were some people who could contact me. We have some things to give out to survivors, if you know some people. So I started by, connecting these different survivors to different organizations for support. And I think that's where Madame Igoye got the interest to challenge me to start up a foundation where survivors can be supported. It took me some long time to do, because I was also going through a lot. I was sick. The first time I first had, my life back was 2022. Meanwhile, I had come back in 2017. And all those years I was going through a lot of checkups, treatments. They checked the brain, the heart, the cancer, everything, because the pain was so severe and my weight was cutting every time. My weight was cutting. By the time I came back, I was 26 years and I had 34 kilograms. And I remember the doctor telling me, this is abnormal. You are not fine. This is very, very, very abnormal. I remember he called, I had moved with my elder sister, and the doctor called her and they spoke. I'm sorry. They spoke for some time in a room alone. And, someone coming out of the room trying to be strong, to look strong in your presence, but she was broken. She was really, really broken. But I don't know, I cannot tell you how I managed to survive, to be alive. I don't know. In most cases, I normally tell people, it's God. If you ask me how, I don't know. Because my weight even sometime dropped from 34 to 28. Yes, to 28. During that time, I was sick. Those were the times actually I tried to check, but I'm sure there was even a time when it was even below 28. So, like I said, I started volunteering with different organizations, helping myself and other survivors. And in 2021, November, that was the second time I almost died. I got so sick. It was very sick. And this time I was having a very sharp pain in the heart. And I used not to have hair. I used to cut it because I could, get a very, very bad headache behind, I could get headache and it would be paining just behind my head. And the pain in the heart was very, very much. It was too much. I could feel like something is, stabbing me. And I had started getting paralysis. I could feel paralyzed on the left side of the tongue, the teeth on the whole side, left side, the eye. Then it was, eating slowly by slowly from the head going down my left hand. And that's how we decided to go and check the heart and the brain, because, the doctor who was treating me by that time was scared. He was like, if this paralysis goes up to, goes further than it is, we might lose you completely. So we went to Mulago Heart Institute. I was checked and they said the heart is okay. But it was confusing because the pain was not cutting down. I was sick, but at the same time, very angry because I didn't know what was wrong with me. Very angry because there were more people moving from Uganda, going abroad. Very angry because I was receiving many reports of people dying, coming back sick, many of them getting, mad. But I had a friend who was a doctor. He said, I think I should call my friend and see, and we do another checkup to see what is really wrong. So that doctor was able to establish what was wrong for the first time. And he discovered that my nervous system was really damaged, and that's why it had started shutting down. So he told me I was either going to get a stroke or die, because it had started in really, really bad places. That is, the head, and then targeting the left-hand side. And I think it was also because it had taken time since 20.
Joanita, we've lost you, I think.
2021 on, he started treating me slowly and by really, really damaged. And when I asked, and I was told it was because of the very much work, it was overwhelming for my nerves, my muscles. But I thank God I'm alive today. I strived to be a better person when I got better in 2022. And God has been really good to me. I have met many challenges where, as a person, I have been dehumanized because of my story, because I've ever been a maid somewhere. I have been, stigmatized. But what I can say is that whoever did that, they gave me a lot of strength, because after I got better, I was like, if God gave me a second chance, why would I care about someone who thinks I'm less of a person because I've ever been a maid in someone's house? I mean, me being alive alone is worth no amount of money. So I wouldn't care less when someone thinks I don't have sense because I've been a maid somewhere in Oman. And this is what I always tell survivors when I meet them, who feel like they are worthless, they are nobody, they are nothing just because someone told them they are. I normally tell them, you are stronger than you know. Because if you were worthless, if you were useless, you wouldn't have survived. To be strong. Even the saying goes, the strong survive. So you are strong, you are beautiful, you are intelligent. No one should take that away from you just because they have a way they define you. Here I am with Mwagale Foundation, and this year in July, last month, we went to Kenya to be part of the first ever meeting for the first ever Global Migrant Workers Network, migrant worker-led and survivor-led, which is bringing together migrant worker organizations and survivor-led organizations. And this platform is going to be helping survivor-led organizations and migrant worker-led organizations to fight for rights of survivors and migrant workers. And I happened to be elected on the first committee. I'm humbled. And right now, Mwagale Foundation is taking its baby steps because this is our first year. And we are still into the process of registration with the NGO board. And we are glad and we are strong that we are going to make the world a better place together with everyone who is fighting for rights of migrant workers and survivors, because I believe these mothers, when they come, especially those who are mothers, when they come home, their children lose a lot if their mothers are not, stable, if their mothers are not happy. Imagine if I had a child, all that time I spent sick, down, wailing, what would my child be going through? So to say it all, human trafficking doesn't only affect the victim, but everyone around them. Last year, I happened to go to Karamoja speaking about child trafficking, and I met child survivors of trafficking. And I was, God, I listened to stories of these children who were sold by their own parents, who were sold by their own people, the people they love, the people they trust, sold them to come to Kampala and beg on streets. But like I said, my duty is to encourage fellow survivors, whether children or women, to show them that you can be better. Where I am, whenever I get something, I talk to my fellows and tell them, if I can get this, you can. Do not give up on yourself. Do not let the world feel like the worst place. We shall get through this. And I believe that through Mwagale Foundation, many people, many survivors, children and women and men will have, a better kind of life to live, because I know what exactly they are going through. I have been there, but God has been faithful. I really thank everyone who has stood with me. Today, I can be able to speak and smile because people held my hand. Here to hold hands of the people who feel like they cannot walk no more, they cannot move no more. Together we can fight this, and our voices are the best voices to counter human trafficking, because we know best. We have seen this monster. We have come face to face with this monster. We have fought it and we won. So we are here to tell a story of victory. We are here to tell a story of survival. And we have a duty to make the world see better, to see the heroes in us, to see the warriors in us. So thank you so much for for the time you've given me, Joyce. I'm really humbled, and I thank everyone on the panel for giving in your efforts to fight against human trafficking. Together we can. Let us leave nobody behind. Let us care for the children because they deserve a better life in the future than being providers to their family provided for. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Joanita, for allowing to share your story with us. It's so emotional for me every time I hear your story. I first heard your story in 2022. I think that's the time around the time that you first came out. I can testify that you are growing stronger every day. Every day I hear your story. Even last year in the national conference, human trafficking, it is so emotional every time I listen to you. And in you, I've seen the power of empowerment and rehabilitation. So I believe that anyone who comes across this youth dialogue series of today, as we're talking about trafficking in persons, gets inspired, but also can be able to join the call to action to fight this crime. Thank you so much once again, Ms. Joanita.
You're
I
welcome.
want to come to you, Ms. Blessing. Like from a legal perspective, you talked about some of the frameworks that are in place in Ghana. But if you have any other frameworks, you can mention them. But we've seen that, for example, the International Labour Organization Protocol 29, you realize that most countries have not even ratified to it or have not even enforced it. We know that countries have these laws in place, like Uganda has the Prevention of Trafficking in Persons Act, but sometimes you find that there are implementation challenges. So what are those main challenges that you've seen that are in enforcing anti-trafficking laws, and how can they be addressed to protect youth and children more effectively? Thank you.
Very well, thank you, Mary. So in Ghana, we have, as I stated before, we have the Human Trafficking Act 2005, Act number 694. We also have the Human Trafficking Prohibition, Protection and Reintegration of Trafficked Persons Regulations, that is 2015 LI 2219. We have the Children's Act, which also seeks to protect children. We have the ministry, that is the state institution in charge of children, gender, and also social protection. At the ministry, they have a unit in charge of human trafficking. We also have the Ghana Police Service, a state institution in charge of, they also have a unit for human trafficking. They are all collaborating their efforts to see to you that we reduce the rate at which human trafficking is happening, as much as children are concerned, and that of youth, as I explained the difference between children and that of youth. And in terms of efforts made so far, I don't have, let me say, a first-hand experience of reporting such incidents to the ministry, but I know that the ministry has put in place a hotline whereby victims can report. Also, the police, we have a common hotline for contacting the police when an individual is subject to human trafficking. And in Ghana, as Daisy and Nene indicated, our communities, child labor in terms of fishing within the coastal areas, we see that of children involved in it, and I appreciate the efforts they are making to create a network whereby you can have a reporting system in place. I have also come put it that way because, like I said, I don't have a first-hand experience. We have the 2022 to 2026 anti-trafficking plan in place. which is also being done by the ministry in charge of gender, children, and social protection. So these are some of the efforts that I can say it is being put in place to see to it that there's reduction in human trafficking. And in terms of challenges, personally, I think the ability to detect which situation constitutes human trafficking is an issue. If I pay attention to Juanita's narrative, when you are being trafficked, you may not even know that this constitutes human trafficking. And assuming a parent who is in desperate need of money is given an amount of money for her to hand over her child for a so-called shall I say, employment, she may easily do it because she's in need of the money. She may not even think what her child is going to do will constitute an abuse of the child's personal liberty, among other rights that are recognized, and will also affect the child's development, even into his or her adulthood and experience childhood trauma and all that. So detection is one of the challenge. And also it is reported that inspectors to become they need measure for one thing they are once they understand for this particular paper, it's who constitute child trafficking. Once people are aware, there will be reduction. And then also, I was one Daisy made mention of the community ideology of this is how things are done here. I think when we involve state agencies, especially the courts, when someone is taken to court and the person is tried, and we know that one of the purpose of punishment is deterrence. When somebody is taking this legal process and then the person is fined or in prison, to serve as deterrent, community leaders who think that such practices are like that is the culture of the people. I don't think so. We've come too far to assume that we should continue to let such practices continue in the name of culture. We can't allow such things to happen. So NGOs engaged in this can make use of the courts, and we have what is known as legal aid in Ghana that will assist them to try such processes. And so, I think another thing is parenting. A challenge is parenting skill. So should we say that parents need to be trained to be parents? I don't know, but I think that should be considered. So traditional leaders should also be involved when we look at what steps can be taken to help reduce human trafficking. We should have situations whereby parents will be taught how to be parents. I think it's a skill that must be embedded in our people, because even in Ghana, we have young mothers who, of course, may not even understand what parenting is about, but then they have children, they must take care of them. So we need to also educate our mothers and fathers on some of these things. Don't give out your child, who is your future and can lift you out of poverty, as rightly indicated by Daisy, into something that will rather cause problems to the child. That is what I can say for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Blessing. And maybe what I can add on to your to your discussion about the challenges that are preventing enforcement of anti-trafficking laws is that I know that generally in Africa we have absence of a witness protection law that can help or encourage victim participation in criminal proceedings and access to justice. So it is still something that we are lacking, and we need to work on it as advocates of ending human trafficking. Thank you so much. So I'll come to you, Daisy. You've been quiet for a while. We know that education and awareness are crucial in preventing trafficking in persons. So as a person who is dealing with initiatives in education with Gold Coast Literacy Program. How can we leverage on education as a tool to combat human trafficking and support survivors of domestic servitude? Thank you. Hi, Daisy.
Hi. Sorry, can you come again, please?
Okay, like I said, that I'm aware that you are doing some initiatives as far as education is concerned, and we know that education and awareness is crucial if we are to prevent trafficking in persons. So from that background, how can education be leveraged on as a tool to combat human trafficking and support survivors of domestic servitude?
All right, thank you, Mary. So we try to engage stakeholders. Like for instance, last year, I was privileged to be part of the stakeholders that UNICEF Ghana called upon. So we come together and draft the new children policy. And as a young person on that table, helping to draft the children policy with my expertise and experience, these were some of the topics my colleagues and the entire team raised. And so getting to the end, it was a 1 week policy drafting. Getting to the end of the week, we put the thought on the table that we wanted to meet certain heads and commissions in Ghana. And the UNICEF Ghana listened, and they brought to us the Shraj boss, Auntie Margaret, Commission for Human Rights and Justice. So, and I think head of the police, Dovsu, and some of the important communities that we have. In drafting the policy, we spoke to them on how we can best work these things together. We realized that, or let me just see that they claimed they were fighting the same cause on their own individually as groups, just like we're also doing as a non-profit. But then also when we check our system, I can tell that this is the least for trafficking. As a friend the other day, that the latest thing to talk about is climate change and agriculture. Some of these topics have died off, and we are no longer talking about it. And we have to wake up as a continent and make sure some of these things. Someone made a comment and said, there was a little girl who was twerking online, and she said the new generations that will come after us are lost. But the point is, if we continue trafficking, there wouldn't even be any generation at all. Because these kids, when you're put into prostitutions, they are put on pills, so they don't produce. So if all of these kids are going to treatment, some of them are diving into the water like they are dying as the things are happening. Woodcutter machines are cutting people. People are getting sick and they're not being cured. Their wounds get infected. They're not getting the right treatment. The generation that would think will not be better after we are gone, there will be nothing like the generation after us. So we were really, I'm very passionate about these things because it's the least talk about. And it's happening. It's happening, but we don't talk about, not even the government. From my end, I feel like he doesn't even pay attention to it. As much as I want him to, like, hello, Mr. President, can you please look here? Look this way a bit. So when the charge boss of Auntie Margaret was saying, oh, Daisy, when you raise the, in fact, anybody who was on that table would tell you that it almost turned into a heated argument because they said we are working. I said, no, you're not working because I'm always on the field and I see these things happening to the extent that if, say, those of us here, we should even see and go and report. Sometimes the person you're reporting to wants something before they can even write down your statement. A child is raped, they will ask the child to use their own money to foot bills until the case is sorted before the money can be refunded. I told her we need to clear all of this. I don't need to be raped and you ask me to go and pay for the medical bill. What if I don't have? So most people are silent about these things. And they are dying slowly. Look at the vast trauma it has put this our sister through. Look how old she is now, but look at the trauma she's gone through. It takes God and it takes a community like us to pull her out of this. And I am glad she didn't stay in the room. She didn't beat herself down and said, "Oh yeah, this is like what gave me." I am glad she has turned this around and is making people aware. With her voice, it's just one. With our voice together, it becomes collective and louder. And if we keep talking about it and going on, I'm sure the world will hear us. Even if not our African president and our African continent, of course, there will be some international body that will hear of us. Let's not stop this discussion. I hope with AYLF, this is not the last thing we talk about when it comes to child trafficking. It's the major thing. It is happening underground. It's happening. Over here in Ghana, I know there are about 4 Ghanaians here. There's a new thing. We used to say it happens when there's an election year, but this one is too much. A lot of children getting missing. People can't find their kids. You send your child to the back of your house, you can't find them. We think, okay, we used to think the organ harvesters are in town. A man was caught with a kid, with a vehicle full of kids in the trunk of the vehicle, transporting them to another African country. Somebody was also caught in another country where they were doing a baby factory. Young adults were kept in the house and they will get impregnated by men and they will have the babies, and the madam of the house will be selling the babies to women who need kids. This is how it starts. I would also want to say that I know if people are listening on YouTube, let's all be vigilant. Even if it's not your child, your neighbors, let's all be vigilant. One time I saw a man in the vehicle. I didn't like the way he was handling the child. We go to the next police point. I said, please ask the man if his biological child, because the child looked like he's been dazed. And the way the man was handling the dazed child, I mean, if your own child, it was about like a 5-7-year-old child. If your child was asleep, even you wouldn't be handling the child that way. So I was a bit concerned. And that is how I am. I raise an alarm. I use my voice. If we can all act like this and not say we are waiting for the government. I told UNICEF Ghana in that room that we are tired as young adults, as young leaders, calling us to come and add our voices to these things that never works. It never gets implemented. And to date, what I went to do there, I have not seen it come to life. I have not seen it come to life. I have not seen it come alive. I mailed them the other day and I said, listen, you see what I told you? You put us together in the room, you feed us, you pay us, and you engage us as stakeholders to bring our expertise for us to draft children policy to help children in Ghana. And yet we don't see the policy working. It's not working. When we went and saw everything we said, all the issues we raised, it's still happening. I've not seen even one that has been implemented. And it saddens my heart. We say, oh, the future leaders, there is not going to be a future leader if we don't raise our voice against some of these things. So yes, this fight is not just for the government, because definitely we know they're not doing anything about it anyways. It's up to us as young individuals who already have the voices, who already have the platforms to use this and loud our voice. Today it is AYLF. All the curious minds is here, all the other platforms. You can engage people. You can also have a podcast like this. And let's keep hammering on this thing. It's killing us, it's hurting the younger ones, and it's burning us out as individuals, as African indigenous, it's burning us out. So please, one voice, one movement, and one target, clearing this thing in this land of Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. One voice, one movement, That's all we need. Thank you so much, Miss Daisy. That's really insightful. I know you expressed the passion about as far as children are concerned. If I can talk about the 4 P's of trafficking in persons, that is prevention of trafficking, protection of survivors and victims, prosecution of traffickers and perpetrators. And lastly, what I want to talk about is partnerships for strengthened response. We know that to truly leave no one behind, we must strengthen our collaborative effort and partnerships. So I'll come to you, Mr. Ezekiel. This is your last question. How important are collaborations and partnerships in the fight against trafficking in persons?
All right, thank you, Mary. I like the passion at which Daisy speaks with. And Blessing has also been helpful with some of the documents and laws that we have as a country that we are actually working with. Before I even come to your substantive question, I would also want to add that as part of the documents or the laws that we work with, there has been policy arrangements. And just as Daisy is mentioning that UNICEF Ghana is in the process to work on a child policy, and we currently have what we call Care Reform Initiative. It's a policy document in Ghana. What that seeks to do is that after a survivor has been rescued, okay, he's able to be reintegrated back into his family and where he's coming from. Now, we also have the child and family welfare policy, which also seeks to protect the young person or the child, even if both parents are not alive. This policy document are to make sure that the family system that this child belongs to take the responsibility and protect this child, irrespective of the fact that the biological parents are not around. Now, there is a department within the Ghana Police Service, which is also known as the Anti-Human Trafficking Department. And what they do is to address human trafficking issues. And so we have also had the privilege to have a roundtable discussion with some of these stakeholders to make sure that they are able to assist and to give them some of the links and the leads as to how they can actually go about some of these situations in our community. And so, Daisy, don't worry. Anytime you come across any challenge within the communities, you come across any issue, just alert us and let us know. We'll give you the right and appropriate people to actually address the issues too. Normally what happens is that because of some of these bureaucracies on the ground, it's very difficult if we are trying to work as far as these issues are concerned. And also to touch a bit on intervention as far as the projects that we are doing is concerned. I would want to add that in the community that we are actually engaging in, so that we are able to address some of the basic problems that is making parents, community people engage their children, because some of these young people are giving out freely. And we heard from Auntie Juanita's presentation that some of young people end up in trafficking without knowing that they are into trafficking, or in the name of trying to seek for greener pastures, seek for a better living. And so as part of the projects that we are doing, we have tried as much as possible to create a livelihood empowerment within the family setting, so that if there is a family that is finding it difficult to be able to assist their children within the family setting, there is a special package that is given to them. Either they go to learn a skill, because most of them are into fishing. And so in Ghana, we have something we call the close fishing season. It's just ended about 4 days ago. And so normally when things become so stagnant like that, it becomes so difficult for families, which at the end of the day make a lot of parents or families to indulge their children in trafficking, all in the name of trying to assist them get a better life elsewhere. And so that is one of some of the interventions that we have employed. Now, as far as community leaders are concerned, in every landing beach in Ghana, we have people we call chief fishermen. And now, as part, and all these are part of the partnership and the work that we are doing. Now, they have created a policy from the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture. And so what is happening now is that every canoe, as far as Ghana is concerned, is being recognized. And so there is a policy that for the next 3 years, there is a ban of creating a new fishing canoes or fishing boats into the fishing system, so that the ones that are already in the system can be properly tracked and given numbers and licenses. And so these processes are they are ongoing. And I think the last time I visited some of the communities, the canoe owners were showing me cards and registration numbers that has been given to them, just to ensure that at least there is sanity. All these policy interventions are happening so that every canoe can be tracked, even from the setting off point, so that should a child board a canoe or be migrated from one landing beach or one community to another community, that canoe can be tracked, the number of people in there can be checked, and then when there are young people on board, now the state institutions can probe further to make sure that these young people are not being engaged in trafficking. And so as far as policy intervention is concerned, these are some of the things that we are doing. And community leaders are happy with some of these things. And most of the proclamations that they are giving are very enthused, which we are hoping to see. You know, anytime you want to start a new policy, it's challenging because of the level of education and all of that. But it might interest you the way people are actually buying into these ideas, because it looks like everybody is tired of the old things, and we are hoping to see that change happen. And so in terms of partnership, we as Curious Minds are always in the position to partner any other organization that is on this. And as we are doing this work, we are actually not doing it alone. We are actually in collaboration with other civil society organization. There is an NGO in Ghana here called FIDA. What FIDA does is that they are trained women lawyers. They go into the communities, and what they do is that they let community people understand what human trafficking is, the dangers it poses to them. And you know, because it's a family setting, okay, when the economy of traditional businesses are not doing well, it affects the entire family. And so at the end of the day, even though we are looking at human trafficking, gender-based violence becomes an issue. And then the issue of domestic violence also draw in all of this. And so they are taken through exercises, sensitizations, so that they would get to understand what they are supposed to do as parents. And I heard Blessing mention earlier that parents and families are supposed to be taken through training systems. And so some of these partnerships are helping us to let parents know their responsibilities, because it is stated in the UNCRC and in the Children's Act 560 of Ghana, which is our version of the UNCRC in Ghana, that it is the responsibility of the family or the parents to take care of the child, and the state shall support them in that effort. And so at times, parents do not know the responsibilities they are supposed to perform, which we give them the opportunity through the partnerships we have to be able to educate them and let them know. And Mary, it might interest you the cause that keeps coming day in and day out as far as these interventions are concerned and these partnerships are concerned. As we speak currently, tomorrow is a holiday in Ghana. It's our Founders Day in Ghana. But yet we have to hit the community and continue with the works. The young people are now have been given the opportunity to dramatize some of the emotions that human traffickers go through. Some of them are survivors. And so we are looking forward that even as far as this week is concerned, within the communities that we work with, we can be able to engage community members through what we called theater acts. So what we are going to do is that we are going to use the same young people who are ambassadors and are proclaiming and projecting the messages within the community to actually dramatize and make sure that the community gets to understand the exact issues we are talking about. We are in partnership with all the stakeholders. When it comes to partnership, UNICEF has been there, and just as
it's too late.
Yeah,
usually take 1 hour. We are in 2 hours and
yes,
proceeding. I'm so sorry. We shall have another time and invite you again, and we talk about, because this is not something we have to talk about for one day, like Daisy said. We will have to come back and continue talking about human trafficking. So thank you so much for your insights. I'm so sorry. Please receive my apologies. I'd like to come to you, Ms. Blessing, with your last question. Briefly, what are the legal reforms or policy changes that you are recommending to strengthen the fight against human trafficking in Africa? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Let me state that I am encouraged to participate in the fight against human trafficking, especially the one when considering youth and children involvement in human trafficking. And as policy recommendation, much has been done in what Daisy stated, but this is what I have prepared to add. So first of all, I want to state once again that education is fundamental, and we need to educate our parents, not just talking about it and writing articles. We need to take it to them in our communities. We can collaboration and partnership, as stated before, and then also creating, through education, we create awareness that some of these activities constitute human trafficking. Also, state institutions must work sharing enforcement of human trafficking legal instruments in place. And then also we must focus on agencies that recruit labor to be sure if they are genuine, so that if they are not, we can also know what measures to take against such institutions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Blessing. Ms. Daisy, I would like to call you to kindly come with your parting shots and your last words to the young people out there who are at the risk of being trafficked or who are in danger of exploitation. Thank you. Miss Daisy, are you still there? Okay, Miss Blessing, can you give us your parting shots as we wait for Miss Daisy?
All right, thank you very much for the opportunity. I have come to understand that you may be involved in human trafficking or child trafficking in the instance without knowing. And as such, when the indicators are there, we indicate what situation you're going through, you fall in this category of description as a child or a youth involved in human trafficking. Have the courage to speak out. If you don't speak, if you don't voice out, we wouldn't be able to help you. And speak to trusted individuals within the community. Make use of the police. It's very important.
Thank you so much, Miss Blessing. Miss Joanita, you can unmute and give us your parting shots or your what's the advice that you give to the young people out there who are at the risk of being trafficked, even when they don't know that they're being trafficked. Miss Joanita, you can give us your parting shots, please. Okay, Mr. Ezekiel, are you there?
Okay, I don't know if you hear me.
Okay,
My
Joanita
network is
is
really
here.
bad.
Yes,
It's breaking.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. My last words to the youth, to the young people, please be vigilant. When things look to be too good to be true, please always ask. Even if they tell you not to tell anyone, please tell someone, because you might end up losing your life or losing part of your life completely. So please speak up when something's silent, and also speak up again.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Miss Joanita, for those kind words. Mr. Ezekiel, what are your parting shots tonight?
Right. I'm so happy and so grateful to be part of this meeting. My advice to us young people is that we as young people in Africa, we should make sure that we take education seriously and make sure that when we see something, we say something, we do something about it, and then we prompt and make sure that the right measures are put in place for the betterment of children, for the betterment of young people, and the human race at large. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ezekiel. Miss Daisy, are you there? Kindly give us your parting shots or call to action.
Yes, I'm here. So all I want to say is, all that glitters is not gold for young adults. We're too quick to lead a better life. We're too easy to be lured because of the lifestyle we want, that we haven't worked to earn it. And so sometimes as young adults, you are lured in some of these things, promising us better futures, better homes, but you always have to weigh your options. And of course, we also have kids who are unaware of the situation they are getting themselves into. We also have parents who are not thinking twice because of the situation they found themselves in. They want that quick relief. And so they give out these children. But for me, I believe what's of what I had Ezekiel saying a lot of things, and Daisy, you want people, Ezekiel, please. I've been in this thing for a long time, and I know when I say that, I know what I'm talking about. The institutions that we have, they are charades. They really don't work. They really don't work. The other day, I'm about to have a next outreach in next month, and the Minister of Education was like, "Oh, Dave," I said, "I'm not going to call you because you come and take credit for yourself. This is my hard sweat." They don't really put in the work, but they want the results. It's up to us, these young adults, us here, that goes into the field and see what is actually happening to put our foot together and save the others. I was telling somebody, I never studied under trees. It doesn't mean I shouldn't fight for those studying under trees. But the fact that some people have the best of life doesn't mean that, oh yeah, we don't care, whatever, really they want. Nobody chose that life. No one chooses that life. If the head porter or that child into prostitution had a better offer, and if the offers were explained better, I'm sure they wouldn't have opted for what they put themselves in now, or the situation they find themselves in.
Thank you so much.
And let's remember, like I said earlier, not all of these children come out to have a story like Joanne and be able to boldly say, some of them died in. So in conclusion, one voice, one movement, like I'm saying, let's hammer on this together as a collective force. This shouldn't end here. Let's petition the government to throw more light on that aspect of life where kids underage are being trafficked and put into situations they didn't cry for, they didn't want to, or their parents didn't bring them to this earth for. We have, I get emotional. I'll end here. Please, let's all stay vigilant. It's happening, even to adults, not just children. It's happening. It's happening. People are being loaded to Qatar and some of these countries, and a lot is happening. Please, even to us as adults, let's all be vigilant. I beg you. Life is precious. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Daisy. I can't really add, but my conclusion would be like...
I like the emotions of Daisy.
Okay, allow me conclude by these few words, that the youth and children are the leaders of tomorrow, or even the leaders of today. So it is our responsibility to ensure that they grow up in a world that values their potential and freedom. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all the panelists today. Thank you for your insights. Thank you for sharing your expertise. Thank you for sharing your stories. And thank you so much to our YouTube viewers for always being here with us. So I would like to say that together we have the power to drive change and create a world where every child and young person can grow up free from exploitation and abuse. One movement, one voice. Bye. See you next Sunday.
Bye.
Bye.